Hello guys, welcome back to a pretty much forced third part of my video guide because my sound cut off like half through the video, the second part. I don't know what happened, but I think I will just continue and bring this to an end very quickly. Now, what I was about to say about emulators ablation is we also don't need the frenzy, of course, because we have enough frenzy. Uh, we basically have it all the time. Also, what I find a bit unsettling about this item is we want to have cleanse, but also cleanse on potion use, but also we need to be ignited for armor from soulfire, so this item can live up to its potential. So in these moments where we use a heal potion because we need it, we actually lose armor, so we get weaker. So that's another strange point or wanky point about this item in this context, at least. Otherwise it's completely fine if you're using it as a defensive tool. But yeah, that's another point I might add to this item. You can, instead of the Praetorian belt, you can of course use the spider silk, because you can basically overstack your poison resistance, which is nice. Because poison inherently shreds. I don't know if it's it should be shred. Yes, it's definitely shred. Shreds your poison resistance. It lowers it, and this takes you. This lets you take more damage, more poison damage. That's why poison, especially on high corruption, is so dangerous. So you could do that. Otherwise, you could just drop the health on the coral ring, and just get another roll of poison resistance if you are having trouble with it. Let's talk about Code of an Erased Sentinel. I really like this item. I really like the armor mitigation. Applies to damage over time. I would like to use this, but it's really hard to get a good one that's rolled good. You want to have at least 3 to judgment. 4 would be better, but 3 would be okay, because it gives 1 to sentinel skills anyway. You want frailty and you want endurance. Maybe you can get endurance on the ring, drop that health, and you can health here or some other stat, but you at least want 3 stats, I would say, from your main from your relic. Otherwise it's not worth it, I guess, and that's extremely hard to get. So that would be an option, an actual option. Now, I tried this new item for sigils when I tried to make sigils work instead of Holy Aura, but we talked about this. I just like the flame burst too much to omit it and take sigils instead. Now let's talk about bases. When you don't have any of these legendaries or uniques, you want to have the right bases to fix your problems, to have the right to fix your problems basically, because if you don't have fiery dragon shoes, for example, you lose your reduced bonus damage taken from critical strike. This is why you take the Citadel boots, I guess they are called, because they have that as an implicit, and the Leonine Great Helm, which has it as an implicit too. This should cover your crit problems. You want to have the armor mitigation also applies to damage over time on your gauntlets, so the Eternal Gauntlets. And as a weapon, you want either have this sword, I can't remember its name, but it has a 1.24 attack speed, and so even more than our weapon, but this doesn't make up for the missing parts. This would be another option, the what is called, the Crystal Sword, I think. Little callback to D2, I guess. and it gives increased elemental melee attack speed, but this only applies to our judgment, not to our vengeance, because vengeance is a physical skill, of course. So I think that this one should be better. Now, why do I have Paladin's Light here in this inventory? Because there is a sub variation I found of this build. You can drop Healing Hands, equip this. This of course makes your melee hits cast Smite, and then you take Smite as a support skill. How this would look like is something like this. You would take this as a passing skill and for increased area, so your heal is more reliable. 3 points in here, and here with 4 points you get 20% attack speed, which is nice. You get 30% heal maxed out, and more healing, and that's about it. You can even get blinding in here if you don't want it to get it here. So it's decent. Of course, you're losing the double attack instance for Flame Burst there, so it's playable, but I like the Healing Hands version better. Now, let's talk about what I like to call false friends. False friends are items for me that look nice, like they would perform well, because they have stats that look like good synergies, but they actually don't. For example, we have Calamity. This is basically the same with Eye of Reen and Sunwreath. The Ignite doesn't really perform well. It got a bit fire damage, but also fire cast speed, which we don't use. So this is not a good option. This looks tempting, really tempting. Like it has we use Vengeance. It has up to 5 to Vengeance. It has up to 53% increased melee attack speed, which is huge. On top of the slam we can get, of course. And yeah, that looks nice. But we don't really need anything more than that in our judgment tree. We could use the Fire Shred here, and so we can lose it here and get base armor instead, but we already have enough base armor, so it's not really worth it, I think. And the melee attack speed looks really nice, like I'm talking about having as much melee attack speed as possible the whole time, but the issue is it has only a base attack rate of 0.94, and this is where having a fast weapon, basically the Transcriber's Graver, proves me right, because look at that. This is our Transcriber's Graver, and this is a weapon with 50% increased attack speed. On top of we have the same T7 melee attack speed multiplier as a not multiplier, but increased attack speed as a modifier. And still, this weapon is faster because of how base attack rate scales with increased attack speed. So this is also not a good option. Now this, you hear me talking about survivability a lot, and why not take this? This is basically the same problem. It's simply too slow. Can I show it? Yes, it's even slower, 0.92. Does not have the 50% increased melee attack speed, so this is not a good option either. Now, when you play the Smite version, you might be tempted to use Fissure, because of course we use elemental damage over time a lot. So why not use Fissure? And the answer is because it costs mana. Simply as that. And if we have negative mana, it won't cast it. If we have positive mana and it will cast it, we lose mana that we could have used for Judgment. And the scaling of Fissure is simply abysmal. Even if we take the full Fissure damage multiplier, which I tested, the Fissure duration, which I tested, it's I think they need to buff it. It looks like such an interesting playstyle, but it just doesn't work. At least I haven't found a way to work it to make it work in this build. And that's about it, I guess. Oh no, we have to talk about Singularity a short time. You can of course lose one of these stun avoidance health idols and just put Singularity in here, because we can't crit anyway, and we use primarily of course damage over time, but our Flame Burst deals hit damage as well as our Healing Hands a little bit, so this might be an option. Yeah, and I think that's it. Thank you for listening, and maybe we will see you again.